Yo, how are you? I am probably the only person on the face of the planet, at least in the US, who's probably not going to be watching the Super Bowl tonight, but I hate both teams. Well, I don't hate the Seahawks, but I hate the Patriots, and I'm disappointed that they're back, and that my team is not playing, so it's okay. Well, that's awesome. What's the new job? And are you starting tomorrow, I'm assuming? I might be starting a new position myself, actually. I am waiting to hear whether I'm getting an offer, hopefully tomorrow, so I am crossing my fingers. The only sort of downstore. That's very cool. Happy for you. I hope it works out. I am trying. The only downside of the position that I might be getting tomorrow, or that I might be getting an offer for this week and starting, probably wouldn't be starting until next month, but the downside is that it's probably going to be 100% in person, which I've been mostly remote since COVID. I was fully remote for the first year of COVID, and then every position I've had since then has been mostly remote, with either 1 or 2 days in office. And this next job that I'm going to be getting is 100% in person. So I'm not really looking forward to that, and it's probably going to be. It's going to be rough. It's going to be rough. It's going to be a rough adjustment. And the big thing that I'm thinking of is that there's probably going to be less time for me to do YouTube after switching back to a full-time in-person job, just because, my current job, I feel like I have a lot of downtime. I'm very good at my job, and I feel like I am very efficient with my time management, and can free up blocks of my day to focus on other things, which is both a blessing and a curse. But it's given me a lot of time to try to get this YouTube channel off the ground. But I don't think that's going to be the case for much longer. So I am. It will be interesting to see what happens in terms of the amount of time that I can focus on doing YouTube. Once I start a new job that is 100% in person. But unfortunately, that's ultimately what I have to do to further my career at this point, and that's one way or another. That's more. My career is more important to me than YouTube. So that's just the choice I have to make. That's good. Yeah, I would love to be able to still work from home, but I'm hoping that my new job will be more interesting than what I've been doing in my career so far. So I'm crossing my fingers that that is the case. Well, I'm crossing my fingers that I get an offer tomorrow / early next week, or early this week. So we shall see. I'm actually waiting on 2 separate job offers. I took an entrance exam for a different position that I'm still waiting to hear the results of. They are waiting for everyone else who took the entrance exam to finish taking their tests and get their results back. So just waiting to see how that goes. I'm not sure which position I would really want more at this point, but it may not be up to me. The interesting part is going to be that I am going to be out of the country for about 10 days. I'm going to Vietnam with a friend for vacation, and I'm going to obviously be taking a ton of footage while I'm there. So that may line up with my 2 weeks notice for my existing job, so that will be interesting. I just feel like I feel like my current job is falling apart. I'm a contractor at a large organization, and there have been directions from on high to do a bunch of contract consolidations, and the company that I work for did not make the cut as far as the recompete for the contract that the rest of my team is currently on and supporting the office with. So my team and my supervisor might be going away, which is scary, because I really like my team, I really like my supervisor, and they might not be my team and supervisor anymore, depending on whether they take positions with the new contractor that won the recompete, which I don't really think they're going to do. Some of them are not going to be able to because their positions are not going to exist anymore. So that sucks. But I don't know. I've been in my job for about 2.5 years, and I think that my time here is coming to an end. So, one way or another. But yeah, it's stupid. I feel like there has been direction from leadership on high to do things a certain way and pursue, efficiencies seemingly for the sake of saying that they're pursuing efficiencies, without necessarily considering how well things are working or have been working up to now. And it's just really unfortunate that my teammates are being caught up in this. So it is what it is. It's not something I have any control over. But it may not be my problem for much longer. When you say editing what? Like writing or video or what? Nice. That's exciting. Editing is probably I don't know if it's my least favorite part of the whole YouTube thing, but it's certainly the thing that I have the least amount of natural skill at. My whole thing is that, when I record a video, I'm recording into a external audio recorder that I have my microphone attached to, and yeah, that makes sense. It's almost less counterintuitively, it almost feels like less pressure, because it's sometimes easier to get a good idea of what somebody else wants, as opposed to how well you can present yourself when it comes to editing. But my editing process is that I will use the audio transcription feature in DaVinci Resolve to generate a transcript of my raw take of my video, and then go through the transcript and cut to the best takes, which I've developed a pretty efficient way of doing, where I just mark in and mark, like I use the marker video, the video markers to highlight the sections that are good takes for each section of the video, and then cut to those. Hi, Milos. 17 to 40 for event photography. That's a good question. I think so I don't know if you saw my video. I did a video last year where I shot a birthday party, my grandfather-in-law's birthday party. I think it was his 85th birthday party. And I brought the 27mm f1.2 Viltrox Pro lens and the 75mm f1.2 Pro lens. I didn't use the 75mm at all, simply because the quarters were too tight. So I didn't. It just wasn't. I wasn't able to use that lens at all. And the 27mm was, a good focal length for event photography. So I assume that the thing is. So thinking back, it depends on what camera system you're on. And I say this because I was doing, a long take videography recording of a series of speeches at that birthday party, where I was shooting wide open at f1.2, and it was a dim, terribly lit event space. It was the basement of a hotel. And I'm probably going to make a video about this pretty soon, about exposing S-Log3, but my rule of thumb has been to expose S-Log3 as bright as possible without clipping the highlights. So I'll set my zebras to 94 plus on my camera, and basically expose up until I see the zebras, and then dial the exposure back until the zebras are gone. But in that setting, I think I just shot wide open at f1.2 and let some of the background lighting clip, just because the subjects or the people were well exposed, and it wasn't super important that I keep the highlights. So with all that said, I'm not sure. Depending on the lighting conditions, I'm not sure f1.8 would be enough for video. So, for video, it would be, because if you're trying to shoot for 1 1/3 to 2 stops over exposed in S-Log, so that you can bring it down in post and minimize your shadow noise, I'm just not sure f1.8 would be enough. For photography, I think if you paired it with a portrait lens, and this is sort of where I'm at, is that, as I kind of talked about in that video, I'm basically down to, as far as lenses that I regularly use, I have the 17-40 for 80% of my shooting needs, and then the 75mm for dedicated portrait work. So for photography, I think that event photography, I think the 17-40 f1.8 would be a great option, especially if you're using the denoising options in Lightroom or DxO Pure Raw or Topaz or whatever it is that you're using. But I would say that for video, outdoor videography, event videography, I think you'd be totally fine. But I'm just thinking specifically about like an indoor wedding venue, for example. I'm not sure if you'd have enough exposure latitude to be able to overexpose your footage as much as you might need to get the cleanest footage possible for S-Log3 specifically, just because I really do feel you have to overexpose and then bring it back down in post to get good results. But as far as coverage, in terms of focal lengths, I think that the 17-40 plus a dedicated portrait lens would definitely work. So I used to have the 16 and the 30. I sold both of those lenses. I didn't feel any need to keep either of those lenses while having the 27mm 1.2 Viltrox and the 75mm 1.2 Viltrox. And like I said, I don't really use the 27mm for anything except extreme low light or astro at this point. So yeah, I think that if I were you, I would sell the 16 and the 30 and get the 56 millimeter f1.2 Pro. I think that would be a great pairing for event coverage, because then you're getting both sort of the general focal lengths, from the wide end to the mid end, and then you've got a dedicated portrait lens for the telephoto stuff. I think that would be a tremendous pairing on APS-C. So yeah, I think that again, I don't think the 30 and the 50, the 30 and the 16 are necessary if you have the 17 to 40. I really don't. And you know, as I said, I sold mine, and I haven't missed those lenses at all. Yeah, absolutely happy to help. Yeah, Val, this is sort of the challenge, and I talked about this a little in my year-end recap video, but this is sort of the challenge of having a split audience, is that you have two groups of viewers who are looking for different things out of you, and you have to somehow satisfy both. But I hope there's some overlap. And I was talking to a friend a little bit ago, I think the other day. I think if I look at my like top performing videos of the last year, it's an even split between sorry, dog hair floating around. I think it's an even split between photography content and headphone content, which is interesting. Like it's not, there's not one type of content doing consistently better than the other. It's both types of videos that I do are kind of like alternating down the list, which I thought was interesting. But probably is keeping me from growing my subscriber count at least more than it would if I was just focusing on one thing. Milos, what kind of events do you shoot? Yeah, I couldn't, like I said in my video, like I couldn't stick to one thing. I think I would get bored. And you know, I was frankly bored with audio content. That's part of why, you know, and this was when I was still doing more written reviews. But I think I'd reached the point of, particularly when I was still sort of locked in $100 budget hell as far as IEMs and headphones go. It was just it was rough. Like I was tired of reviewing $100 IEMs over and over again that weren't necessarily very different from each other. And getting into camera content was a way to diversify my creative outlet for me and help, you know, keep this interesting for me. And I think it was very, very a worthwhile choice on my part. Less sweating. So like 18-year birthday party. Where are you located? What's the significance of 18 years old, Milos? Because that sounds like a specific event niche. But yeah, live I don't know. I think with AI and the rise of AI, as much as we may all dislike it, I think that, you know, live video live video and photo work for live events is probably the only photography and videography niche that is really going to survive the rise of AI, unfortunately, just because it's an experience that needs to be documented that can't be replicated with AI. So that's a future-proof career niche, I think, as near as I can tell. That's cool. I probably one of my close friends from high school here in the States is from the Balkans, but I probably shouldn't tell you where he's from, or that I'm gonna piss you off and incite some intergeographic warfare. Yeah, I mean, video game streaming, because the appeal of video game streaming is really the person behind the camera, as opposed to necessarily um, uh, the most the most important part of video game streaming is the appeal of the streamer and their reactions and emotions, as opposed to necessarily the video game itself. So you're cultivating your audience based on, you know, the appeal of your personality, which is not something that necessarily AI can recreate. So one of my high school buddy is from Kosovo. He came over quite a while ago. He's a U.S. citizen now, but he grew up in Kosovo and was back there for a number of years before coming back to the States, probably a year or two ago. That's an interesting challenge. I don't know the final boss of Breath in the Wild. I think we talked about this a little bit on my first stream, but Breath of the Wild was, you know, my wife doesn't own Breath of the Wild on the Switch, and I never got super far into the emulator that I tried to emulate Breath of the Wild with on PC, just because the performance wasn't that good. That's cool. The power of locking in. I love that. Yeah, I'm trying to think what the last single player game that I really got into was. I think we talked about this the other time as well, but I upgraded my GPU recently. I need to try and finish Stalker 2. I think that was the last single player game that I really got into. I didn't touch the single player for Battlefield 6. I felt like it wasn't reviewed very well, and that's not why I bought the game anyway. No, you're fine, Milos. What keyboard do you have? I think that I put out a keyboard video a month or two ago, because the person, my contact at Linsol, who sends me headphone samples, also sends me keyboard samples from Epo Maker, and so I have a small armory of. Well, here's the thing: is that I have a small pile now of Epo Maker keyboards that I have absolutely no use for, and I feel like at some point I should try and start doing giveaways on the channel, just because I have absolutely no need to keep, at this point, I think like 5 or 6, $100 Epo Maker keyboards on hand, because I have a nice custom keyboard that I really like. So maybe that would be a good way to boost my subscriber count, and clear some space on my shelves. No, so my experience, Linsol, everything I get from Linsol, at least to this point, has been for keep. I'm not expected to return any of it. The only things that I've gotten that I've been, like, generally if I'm doing like a review tour for an expensive set of headphones, I'm trying to think what the last like review tour that I did was. It might have been the Meze Advar. I think that was the last like review tour I was on. I also did the, man, what was it? No, it was the Hibby Zeta. The Hibby Zeta. I was on a review tour for. But those are, those are review tours where you're listening to the IM for 7 to 10 days before shipping it on to this next person, and that's like an explicit condition of getting whatever it is. But generally, everything that I get sent to review is mine to keep, which is fine if it's a great and ends up being a benchmark for future reviews and something that I compare new IEMs to. But if it sucks or if it's just average, I find that they just take up space. I have literally hundreds of IEMs sitting in a box in my closet that I haven't touched in years. And I try to give away as much as I can to friends or family. I try to, if something is, good but not great and is not going to be a reference point in a future review, I try to get rid of it. And it's not like I can sell these things. One, because if it's a review sample and you get caught selling or flipping review samples, HeadFi will actually ban your account, which I don't want to get banned from HeadFi. But also it just feels unethical because it's something that I received for free, and it feels wrong to try and make money off of it. So the only option at that point is to give it away if I don't actually want to hold on to it. Actually, let me grab the box. God. Yeah. So this box that I'm holding, if I try and tip it towards the direction of the camera, and one just fell, because this is literally overflowing with IM. Oh, okay. I didn't drop it. We're fine. Oh, but let's see. Let's go through the list of IMs at the top. So let's see what's in here. This is a bunch of mysteries. This is the Rum Audio's Blue, which I believe I did a review of on the channel and said was the worst IM I heard in all of 2025. We've got the Punch Audio Portazo. We have extra modular terminations for the Raptgo Hook X. We have a tub of extra ear tips for the Sonic Memory something or other. I think it's whatever this was. It's the Sonic Memory something 500. I don't remember the model name. Nice hack octave. I believe this is the Hitiz's MP143. I have a random box of ear tips. TRN V90S, I think. KB ear diamond. Oh, okay. I just dropped a bunch of ear tips everywhere because that wasn't closed. I'm gonna leave that there. Oh, this is a blast from the past. This is from many, many years ago. This is the Yersin. This is one of those Head-Fi flash. Oh, it's not even the Yersin. This is the Tangeme Zero. I don't know why it's in the Yersin box. I should stop. This is just gonna go on forever. But I don't. There's no way to show the box without tipping out the literal overflowing mass of headphones onto my desk, which I really don't want to have to clean up. So I think this is going to go back in the closet. But the moral of the story is that if I wanted to start doing giveaways, which I probably should, I have a lot that I could potentially give away. And I think that would be a good idea for everyone involved, because I haven't touched any of this in years. Well, not years, but the stuff that is in this box has not been touched by me to listen to since I finished the reviews of them. And I just... it's a waste of space. What is... Oh. Moondrop Kato. Anyway, this is a sneak peek into the life of a headphone reviewer or an IM reviewer. Is the perpetual accumulation of meh sets. Let's see if I can get this back into the closet without spilling anything else. And something just went flying. Alright, that's enough of that. Good. I have put my box of IEMs back in the closet. I probably will continue to find more IEM tips that got dropped for a while. So we'll see. We will see. So instead of watching the Super Bowl, what are you going to be doing with the rest of your day? What is the... Oh, no. I know exactly what the worst Moondrop... The worst Moondrop was their planar. Planar. I forget what it's called. I have to look this up. I'm going to kick myself when I remember what the model name was. Moondrop is interesting because I feel like they've really fallen off in a lot of ways. I feel like they used to be really consistent, and they are dramatically less consistent than they used to be, in my opinion. Stellaris. The Moondrop Stellaris is the worst Moondrop. That was the planar one. Yes, that, yeah. The Moondrop Stellaris. The Moondrop Stellaris is by far the worst Moondrop IEM, in my opinion. It was just... It seemed to me like Moondrop... And Moondrop, I feel like this is something that they traditionally hadn't done, but they were seeking to jump on, the trend of planar IEMs without necessarily doing the work to actually make it sound like a Moondrop IEM. And the driver just came out... It sounded untuned. It was really weird. It had the natural peaks of the driver with seemingly no tuning or dampening, and did not adhere to the VDSF target curve at all. So I don't know what they were thinking, releasing that IEM in that state. It seemed very unlike them to push something out as seemingly half-baked as that IEM was. But that would be my pick for the worst Moondrop IEM. The original Dusk, is that the one you have? Like the Blessing 2 Dusk, or the more recent one? Oh, the new Dusk. Okay. I don't think I've actually heard that one. I think that the last sort of high-end or higher-end... the last higher-end Moondrop IEM that I heard... was it was their replacement for the S8, and I forget what that one was called. It didn't net generate anywhere near the same kind of buzz as the S8. What was it called? I was searching back in my Discord chat history with my rep at Shenzhen Audio to try and find it. Darksaber. Yes, it's Darksaber. So the Moondrop Darksaber, I heard it at Can Jam New York. 2 years ago, and my basic takeaway was that it was basically a side grade. It was not an improvement. I felt like certain things about it were better than the S8, but enough of it was worse that I didn't feel like it was a straight up upgrade, and I wouldn't necessarily recommend. I wouldn't have recommended anyone, sell their S8 to get it, which was unfortunate because that was sort of what I was looking for at the time, was an upgrade to the S8. And anyone who's been paying attention to my reviews, my headphone reviews for any length of time knows how much I love the S8. So having the Darksaber be, at best a side grade was very disappointing for me. I haven't I think there were some QC issues with the Darksaber as well. I can't remember exactly what the issues were, but I'm pretty sure there were some QC issues, which was unfortunate, which I never saw anything related to QC issues with the S8. So that's also unfortunate, but it seems like Moondrop has had worsening QC issues over time, as they've gotten bigger, for whatever reason. So, oh god, what? Yeah, I think the shell cracking is what I remember. I'm looking up your squig now, Mark, for the Darksaber. Darksaber both channels. Oh my god. That's not good. That's really not good. Oh my goodness. I have never seen a Moondrop IM with that bad of a channel imbalance. That is insane. That's crazy. Wow, that's astonishing. I'm floored by that, honestly. That's crazy. Like, I would never have expected that from Moondrop, because in my experience, Moondrop has above average channel matching. Even if the IEM tuning itself is not the best, or not in line completely with my preferences, and I'm someone who generally likes Moondrop IEMs. I've never seen. That's horrible. Wow, that is something else. So I would never have expected Moondrop to have a QC failure like that, just because it's certainly never something that's happened to me. I did have the 2-pin shell, or the 2-pin like housing on the Moondrop Rays come off of the actual 2-pin like insert. So like the acrylic insert that actually has the 2-pin, the 2 pins stuck into it, and then the the metal or plastic sheathing that goes around it for aesthetics. Those 2 pieces separated on me, so that was interesting. But like I said, at the time, I guess it's proof that Moondrop is not cherry-picking units to send to reviewers for QC, because otherwise they would not have sent me that unit. I mean, it still worked, but it was kind of embarrassing. Are you watching the Super Bowl, Mark? Cheers to that. That sounds like a good time. I don't have the reflexes for motorcycle riding. Also, I would not, Milos, I love the 75 millimeter, and I almost feel like, if it were me, like, I have thought about getting the 56 millimeter, but I don't feel like the difference between the portrait end of the 40 millimeter on the 17 to 40 and the 56 millimeter is enough to justify having both the 56 and the 75. So I think, you know, where I've been, I haven't been able to justify picking up the 56 millimeter, especially with the 17 to 40. But I would never sell the 75 millimeter. So that's kind of where I'm at, is that I would personally, if I were you, I think that the 75 millimeter would be a better pairing for the 17 to 40, if it were me, just because that's what I have and that's what I've stuck with, and I haven't found the motivation to pick up the 56 millimeter, even though you know, it's called to me a few times. I can't go through with pulling the trigger on it. So I would personally, if it were me, I would go with the 75. Just something to be aware of with the 75 is that it is I believe the full frame equivalent is something like 112 millimeters. It's a very, very telephoto, and you need to have some room between you and your subject to get like a full body shot. But again, if you're pairing it with the 17 to 40, I think that's fine. Particularly if you're doing weddings or birthday parties. I would rather have sort of both ends covered rather than one end and then a little bit tighter. But that's my opinion. That's expensive. Wow. I picked up my 75 millimeter used on Facebook Marketplace for, I believe, between 450 and 500 US dollars. But this was a couple years ago. But I thought even new they were only about $500, but maybe prices have gone up since the last I checked. And maybe prices are different in Europe as well. But I got mine, I'm pretty sure I got mine used in like new condition for like $480. Again, I mean, going back to my experience shooting an indoor event venue and not being able to use the 75 millimeter, I think that's a reasonable concern to have. I almost wonder if it would be worth trying to find somewhere to rent, not necessarily the 56 millimeter or the 75 millimeter, but there are a lot of there are a lot of 56 millimeters. I mean, there's the Sigma. Viltrox has more than one, I believe. They also, I think they have a 1.7 Air that's also a 56 millimeter. But it would, I feel like it might be worth renting, a 56 millimeter to see if that would work better for you before pulling the trigger on actually buying one. Just because, again, that difference in compression is significant. And I'll say this, I also used to have the Sigma 56. I used to have the Sigma 56 and the Viltrox 75 at the same time. And I never used the 56 millimeter. It was one of my, least, and this is, of the three lenses, the three Sigma lenses, I used the 30 the most. And then I used the 16 millimeter for a little bit of astrophotography, and I really didn't use the 56 millimeter that much, which is, again, part of why I was so comfortable selling all three of them, is because if I was choosing between the 56 millimeter Sigma and the 75 millimeter Viltrox, I reached for the Viltrox every time. So maybe that answers your question. Particularly now that I have the 17-40, I just don't think I think that the 75 millimeter 1.2 is much more of a wow lens. It's even today, I don't think there's anything else like it on the market. In terms of being just the ultimate APS-C portrait lens. So again, if it were me personally, I would go with the 75, with the understanding that if you're shooting indoor events, you may just have to lean on the 40 millimeter end of the 17-40. So hopefully that's helpful. What kind of motorcycle do you have, Mark? I was thinking about this earlier today about the disappearance of I was thinking about this because I've been really into PlayStation 1 style IDM / ambient music for the last couple of months, and an artist that I like, called Pizza Hotline, came out with is coming out with an EP called Demo Disc, and it got me thinking about the decline and disappearance of game demos. For the most part, it's not something you see a ton of anymore, and it just got me thinking about, one, how back when I was a kid, I would go to Toys R Us or Target or Walmart or whatever, and they would have, the demo stations in the video game section of the store that was at, a ridiculously high angle, and you'd have to crane your neck up at the demo station to play the game. But just how I would spend long periods of times in those stores playing video game demos at those stations, and just what a nostalgia trip thinking about that was. I think I only ever had one demo disc that came with a gaming magazine. I think the demo that it had on it was I think it was Rainbow Six Vegas. I think it was the first Rainbow Six Vegas. That was the demo on that disc. But I loved demos. I think a lot of games I still have very fond memories. I ended up getting the game, but I have very fond memories of the PC demo for the Return of the King game, where you're playing as Gandalf defending Minas Tirith, which I can play through that mission mentally in my head still to this day. But I think a lot of it is down to digital storefronts having much more generous refund policies than they had in the past. And so, okay, Milos, it was great having you here. And I don't know when I'll be getting to that video, but it is coming. But I hope you have a good rest of your day, and best of luck with your event photography and videography. So you have a good rest of your weekend too. But yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with, Steam refunds, and I guess Epic has refunds too. But people just buy the game, and if they don't like it, they'll refund it, as opposed to needing a demo necessarily to get the same effect. But I almost feel like that's a less, because like the demo, a video game demo is obviously going to present a slice of the game that's probably like maximally crafted to grab your attention and result in a purchase. So I honestly feel like manufacturers might be shooting themselves in the foot by relying on essentially trial periods with digital purchases of games to have the audience get a taste of the game, because with a demo you can really curate how much, like what they experience, but I guess there's no going back in terms of Steam refunds, so maybe they just figure it's not worth their while anymore to do that anymore. I don't know what Pragmata is. I have not heard of that game. I'll have to look it up. What's it about? Gotcha. That's cool. I will look it up now. Oh, interesting. Well, this looks cool. I might have to download this if there's a demo for it. This looks like I like the art style. This looks cool, actually. So that's, interesting. Yeah, I need to, again, I've mostly been playing Arc Raiders with my friends, and we haven't played in a few days. But I need to see. I want to. The graphics in that game look really good. Like the graphics look really good. So I want to try and play some games that really stretch the legs of my new graphics card. Now that I have a 9070 XT, because Arc Raiders, I feel like, is leaning more on its art direction than raw graphical prowess. And I love the way Arc Raiders looks, but it is not the most graphically intensive game, which is great. I think that's good. I think that's a good thing that they focused more on making the game run well and having a unique art style, as opposed to, saying fuck it to optimization and just doing, as many visual tricks as they possibly could in Unreal Engine, which is not a strategy that I am a fan of, or I feel like has worked out very well for a lot of games. But that game, Pragmata, looks cool. That looks like a cool game. Again, I'm waiting for Stalker 2 to update to a more recent version of Unreal Engine, so that hopefully the performance continues to improve before I replay it, or try to finish it, rather. I don't know. I'm trying to think what else that I'm really looking forward to in terms of games. I don't know what else is out there that I'm really waiting for other than Witcher 4, obviously. I think that's the only game that's sort of on my radar that I'm like, no. When Witcher 4 comes out, assuming the performance is okay, that's going to take over my life. Yeah. Stories 3. Yeah, for me, because I'm trying to think. I would have been. I was interested in Borderlands 4 because I've played most of the Borderlands games, but the lack of optimization in that title, particularly before I upgraded my graphics card, just seemed offensive to me, and it's not something I could see myself actually spending money on after seeing how bad the performance was. Maybe it would be playable with my new graphics card, but certainly when I had a 3060 Ti, it was not something I could see myself spending money on and having a good experience, given where they were at launch. Which is a shame, because I really like the Borderlands games. I played all of the mainline Borderlands games. I played the pre-sequel. I didn't play Tiny Tina's whatever, the one that was a spin-off of the Borderlands 2 Dragon D&D themed DLC. I didn't play that one. I feel like I own it on like Epic Store or something, because they were giving it away for free, but I've never actually played it. But again, it's just a shame that the performance at launch for Borderlands 4 was so terrible, and just, it's no excuse. There's no excuse for that. But that, yeah, I don't know what other games I'm really excited for. Again, like the Monster Hunter series is not something I've ever been, never been super interested in, but I have friends who are very into it, so maybe one day. Oh, that's interesting. I've never been a huge turn-based RPG person. I'm trying to think. The only turn-based RPGs that I've ever really been into, well, Baldur's Gate 3, obviously. That's probably the top of the list, which is an amazing game. And then the earlier, I also played, along the same lines, I played Divinity 2 Original Sin all the way through with friends, which I believe is also turn-based. So, basically just Larian games are the extent of my turn-based RPG experiences. Because I think I started Divinity Original Sin 1 and didn't finish it by myself. And then Divinity Original Sin 2 was one of the games that I played with my friends during the pandemic. And that was one of our multiplayer distractions during COVID. So I'd say that's probably it. I was never into like the older Final Fantasy games or Fire Emblem or anything like that. But I also, you know, like I've said before, I grew up playing Xbox, and so I didn't have I didn't have access to sort of the PlayStation 1 and 2 era classics that I think a lot of people got their start in terms of turn-based RPGs with. I'm probably going to end the stream around 5, just FYI. So I can get some more food and another beer. In Monster Hunter Stories 3. I feel like I don't. I love customization in games, but I feel like I don't have, as an adult with responsibilities and a career and stuff, I don't have the same amount of time to really dig into deep customization the way I used to when I was younger, which is a source of perpetual sadness for me. I wish, because like I loved, I'm trying to think of, like I grew up on, I grew up on the Elder Scrolls series. I grew up on, which I maybe is not the best example of a customization heavy game. But I think in general, I don't have the same wellspring of time to really dig into a deep RPG as I did when I had less responsibilities. I think that Baldur's Gate is probably the last game that I had, that kind of... Baldur's Gate 3 was kind of the last game that I played where I really was, like, really into tweaking things. And even then, I don't think I was nearly as deep into like figuring out equipment and build metas as necessarily the true depth of customization in those games actually allows. But I don't know. Being an adult sucks. I remember probably the game that I probably did like the most customization Like the game that stands out to me in as far as like the deepest customization that I've really experienced would probably be like Dragon Age Origins. Hey Akash, how are you? Like the first Dragon Age game is like the pinnacle of like RPG customization for me. So I'm actually getting ready to wrap up the stream. I've been on here for about an hour. But we've talked about a few things. We've talked about the applicability of the Sigma 17 to 40 to event videography. We've talked about whether the 56 millimeter or the 75 millimeter Viltrox f1.2 Pro lens would be the better pairing for the 17 to 40. We've talked about whether the the f1.8 is enough exposure for low light event videography. We've talked about some games, and we've talked about how no one here is watching the Super Bowl today. So I think that sums it up, unless Val, I've missed something important. But yeah, I'm probably actually going to wrap the stream up in a few minutes, just because it's almost 5 o'clock and I've been streaming for a while, and I gotta go do some responsibilities, unfortunately. I talked about this at the beginning of the stream, but I am so disappointed that the Patriots are back. Like we had a good thing going, and no matter how many people complained about the Chiefs, at least they weren't the Patriots. And you have a good one, Val. I'll see you here the next time I stream, probably. I don't know if I will be streaming next week, just because I am leaving for Vietnam on not Tuesday of this week, but Tuesday of the week after. So I probably will be knee deep in packing. But I am trying to do these streams on Sundays fairly regularly, so I'm sure you'll pop in again. But you have a good one. But again, like, I just hate the Patriots, man. You know, growing up during the Patriots dynasty with Tom Brady was just such a monotonous, disheartening experience, that it makes football boring. It makes the Super Bowl boring. I mean, that's all, and like that's a really like whiny thing to say, and I realize that, because like, oh, why isn't my team as good as the Super Bowl, or as good at football as the Patriots? But like, there's got to be some variety, and it's just, I don't know. It's disappointing that we're right back to where we were during the 2000s in terms of the teams being at the top. But that's just me. Which video? The 17 to 41? Oh, the stream quality. Oh, yeah. I'm actually getting an error message that I should be streaming at 1440p, and I'm streaming in 4K. I'm streaming in 4K, and it says it expects 1440p, so I don't know. I'm just pushing as high bit rate as I can, and hoping that YouTube will cooperate. So, oh well. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this up, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Like I was telling Val, I try to do streams on Sundays. I don't have a regular time on Sundays that I stream. It's really whenever I have a chance to. But next weekend, I am getting ready for a vacation to Vietnam, and we'll be leaving early, not this week, but the week after next. And probably will be busy packing next Sunday. But I'll be there for 10 days, and then once I get back, I'll try to get back into the habit of doing Sunday streams, because I think it's a good time. I enjoy streaming. I enjoy talking to you guys, and it's an opportunity to show myself as I really am, and not necessarily the person reading from a script during my YouTube videos. But anyway, hope to see you again. And for anyone else who's in the room, I appreciate you all being here. And until next time, this is Bedrock Reviews, signing off.